Killa Convos, we in the house. Killer Queen is going to come on stage shortly, but for now, I want all the sexy people in the live with me so we can have this conversation on a Monday. We got a lot to talk about, man. Joe Biden is out of the race. He's endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris to step up and run for office. And I'm going to pass this live around to some people I really, really care about on a Monday. It's hot here in LA. About to hear how it is in Michigan in a moment. But let's bring that Killer Queen on stage shortly. I'm just passing this live around to a few heads, a few good people, some talented artists, you know, some fine females, some confident gentlemen. And I want everybody to come in to this live sharing your palm tree emojis, liking the live, sharing the live, talking amongst yourselves, showing love. You know how we do. It's Killa Convos. Let's get into it. As Biden drops out, Juicy J and Xavier Wulf discussion. Is cancel culture really a thing? We're going to delve into that. The importance of this Memphis Zoo album, we're going to delve into that too. But we got to get Killer Queen on stage. And yes, Omari the Rebel, I know you rap and I know you do other things that may not be able to mention on this live. Shout out to my man. Let's get Killer Queen on here. Boom. There we go.
What's going on, everybody?
In the house. That's Killer Queen right there.
What is going on?
What is going on? First and foremost, Queen, we've talked offline, obviously, us being close friends, but I want to just offer you condolences about your grandfather, Frank, and so the people can know what's going on and, that, we're here for you in support of you.
I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate all the love. I had a lot of good friends of mine reach out, a lot of family reach out, and I really appreciate it because, to be honest, a lot of people don't talk about how hard grieving is. So,
right,
for people to actually, take time out of their busy lives to let people know that they're thinking about them and care about them, I appreciate it.
right. And, I think as this brand being Palm grows, into a thickness protection program and beatbox, and now here we are with Killer Combos. I think mental health has always been, one of the flagships of conversation. So we want to continue that and continue, when you do an interview with me, you're not just doing a write-off or sitting down to talk about your new album. I care for everybody who's involved with this platform. So yeah, definitely peace be with you during this difficult time.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, we're not too big politic talkers.
Not really.
But there's a lot going on in our country, and I think it's time we break it on down. So Joe Biden has dropped out of the presidential race and has endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris. And it's kind of amazing that over $54 million has been raised for Vice President Harris to be the nominee for the Democratic Party so far. Now, it doesn't mean that she's going to be that necessarily. They still have to go through the full process to select whoever's going to be the nominee at the Democratic convention. But it's historic. She's the first woman vice president. She's biracial, half African-American or Jamaican-American, half South Asian. There's a lot going on here. And with an election as important as this one, there's a lot at stake here. Queen, what do you think?
I think that it would be amazing to have a woman in office if she was to gather more votes. She did secure more than half of the delegates. She actually has been putting a lot of work in behind the scenes while Biden has been president. I also feel that I'm not surprised.
Mm.
I'm not surprised that Biden dropped out only because of everything that's been going viral lately. From him forgetting what he's saying during the middle of a speech to him like forgetting where he's going. Like, it's kind of like his mind has not been all there. You know what I'm saying? So I can't imagine how hard it's been for him while he's been trying to like, delegate being a president and whatever health issues he has going on or whatever the case may be. I also see something wild on IG. Now, we know that we can't believe everything on IG, right?
Right.
But I felt like I had to bring it up because it has a pretty big buzz about it going on. So I've been seeing that people have been referring to Biden as a robot. Um, so they had like posted some clips of him walking down the aisle, or just briefly taking a walk to wherever he's going, and he kind of just like says with his hands like this, like as if he were a robot, and like just turns like a robot. So people are saying, so people have came to somewhat of a conclusion that he is a robot. What do you think about that?
You know what? It's pretty silly because I think the president mentally is all the way there. He definitely is. It's just like, again, the analogy I always use is that at 83 years old, could you be the manager of Starbucks?
Mm.
And isn't being the president of the United States a little more difficult than being the manager at Starbucks?
Yes.
So here's my thing. I think it was just the perfect storm of activity between the assassination attempts and the fact that Biden got COVID and he was, recovering from being sick. And, here we are now where I kind of had this predicament. Shout out to my homie Pink Tor in the chat. I kind of had this premonition that there would be this, what I call plot twist
Oh
2024,
yeah.
where something, some type of catastrophic event would distract us from the election and ultimately come down to like, there's no election at all. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying I want that to happen. I just feel like, in the aftermath of January 6th, I think that, potentially this is something that could happen.
Yeah. And then this kind of goes back to the conversation we had about Trump. Um, we kind of already, I don't want to say like predicted this, but we kind of already knew that there was going to be more stuff added to the shit show. Like, it wasn't going to be just the assassination attempt and then it was just going to be over with. Like, we knew that there was going to keep, it was going to keep going. And that's literally you know, what happens in politics.
Right. So here's the thing is that me personally, I view it like this. Number one, before I even go there, when we heard this announcement, my mom and I yesterday, shout out to my man Ducey Guevara in the chat, Jose Ali, my tattoo artist and dear friend. He's done both my pieces right here.
Hell yeah.
Um, when we got emotional yesterday, my mom and I, when the announcement came out that Biden was dropping out the race. Why? It's because of the fact that, Biden is such a good man and an American hero. And the fact that he's lost a wife, he's lost a child. He was the vice president for Obama and helped him get elected for 2 terms. That he's the person to put a woman vice president in the White House. And, you can like the guy, dislike the guy, but in my opinion, that is an American hero. The fact that he knows he stood up to Trump. He knows what it's like to lose somebody. All the adversity he's been through that's what makes, in my eyes, an American hero.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I really can see that. I personally, if y'all always refer back to our prior videos, because we always keep our conversations going throughout multiple videos sometimes. um I never voted,
Right.
and I feel like sometimes it's kind of hard for me to, I guess, get into politics. But now that we've been doing Killa Convos, it's given me a chance to like dig and actually understand, like you said, the last episode, you were asking me like, who are all these people, right? Like in my county, in my area, and things like that. And I'm like, shit, like I have no idea. You know what I'm saying? So this gave me a reason to actually start like listening on what's really going on in the world, because at the end of the day, the president does rule America. You know what I'm saying? So going back to Kamala Harris, I think that it would be dope and amazing if she were to become president. I think that it's phenomenal that over 44,000 Black women were on an emergency Zoom call, and raised $1.5 million for her campaign within 24 hours. And I think that's super dope that she has the support that she does. DNC also raised 81 million within 24 hours towards her campaign. So it's like she has the support. And I guess, from hearing your opinion, I could see why, you know, it's a little heartfelt. It touches your heartstrings when somebody who did come in and show us, that these things are possible. You know what I'm saying? Because he did create a lot of changes during his presidency. Um, I do feel like he could have, I guess, dropped out in a better way, because, like, I guess his letter was formal, but I feel like a meeting or a public service announcement would have been a little bit better than a letter. But as we can see, he hasn't been equipped to do, you know, live talks and things like that. Like, he's been going through shit. So I can see why he did take the letter route.
Yeah. You know what? I think it's, I hope it's not too late, but I think it was a good move to bow out gracefully, you know, and understand that, a lot of people were concerned about his health. A lot of people were concerned about his cognitive strength at this point. And Ducey is very correct. He did not have the mouthpiece, and we clearly saw that during the debate.
Yeah.
And I think, as we watched Trump tell lie after lie after lie up there on stage. One of the things you gotta admire Trump for, if you had to, is just how his delivery was just so on point. And it's the adjectives that he used to say, "You're doing a horrible job. You're the worst president in history." The way he's just constantly at the throat, in that, it's no longer you're watching a serious debate. It just becomes, like Andrew Yang said, a zinger match.
Right.
Yeah, I want to say a piece to a couple people who just joined the live, man. Shout out to my man, Dead Internally, Northern California. Shout out to my boy Pest the Menace, Spokane, Washington. And shout out to my man, Ludacris, Brooklyn via Texas. What's happening?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Um, but yeah, it'll be interesting. Kind of part of me feels like it's wishful thinking to think that, oh, Kamala might be president of the United States, when I think for the last 4 years, a lot of people are concerned that she hasn't done enough. She hasn't been vocal enough or visible enough to be implementing changes. You can't just be a symbol of women and of a double minority. You can't just be a symbol. You got to be a person of action. You know,
Right.
and right, and to Pastor Menace's point, Kamala Cop, she has prosecuted a lot of people, and there's a lot of, black and brown folks in jail at her hand over marijuana, right?
Uh,
So, but
to
go on.
that, she did do a lot of removing. So a lot of if your state has became legal, medicinal, recreational, they are now revoking those. So he has been doing a lot of that. I know here in the state of Michigan, I have a couple of friends who got a lot of shit on their record, like weed wise, and they had all that removed. So she had did a little backtracking on that.
Right. One of, well, here's the thing, and to elaborate on that Kamala's a cop comment, is that I'd rather have the prosecutor in the White House versus the felon. It's plain and simple. You know, in the White House. Now, when it's time for me to hit a lick, you know who I'm going with. But we're talking about voting for president.
Did she push for the legalization though? That is a good question. I'm not 100% sure on that.
And see, I have my thing with Kamala personally. I'm not 100% on that as well, but I have my reservations about that because when it comes to this, is like I personally have a lot in common with the vice president, and if I were to ever meet her, which I'd love the opportunity to get, I'd probably be very cool with her. We're both from California. We're both Libras. She's a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. My late grandma was in that. She went to Howard. I went to the other HU, my home by the sea. Oop, pockets out, looking broke. But yeah, I went to Hampton, so we went to rival HBCUs, and there just be a lot of cool stuff to talk about. But I want her to be held accountable as I'd want anybody in office to be. So I think the race just got a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
And 76% of Democrats say they'd support her. She just needs to get the delegates, and I think this is going to be interesting. Again, not necessarily the nominee, but she's been endorsed.
Yeah. So, enough about the politics. Let's get over to this Juicy J and Xavier Wulf album.
Yeah. So, and Pestamenta says he's Team Cornell West. Cornell West is my guy. I work for KBLA, Tavis Smiley's radio station, so Tavis and Cornell are very, very good friends. So I got pictures with Cornell West to answer Pest. But Memphis Zoo, what did you think about Memphis Zoo, Juicy J and Xavier Wulf?
So I'm not gonna lie, the whole time I'm like, who the fuck are they talking about? Like, a lot of the songs they're talking shit. You know what I'm saying? Like whoever pissed them off, they talking shit. Like almost every song, they are talking about loyalty, trust, pimping. You know what I'm saying? So like, the entire album, I'm just like, all right, like I want to know who they're talking about. Like, what pissed them off? What's going on?
To be honest with you, I was actually surprised, and maybe this is me not keeping my ear to the streets. I was kind of surprised that this project came out because, first of all, Wolf hailing from Memphis, Juicy J obviously being a staple of Memphis rap, 3-6 Mafia, and all that. But you know what? I think it's dope because Wolf gets to live out his dream. He's working with literally like his childhood hero. Like that's celebratory in itself. But I'm not having trouble separating the art from the artist, but I gotta listen to this with a grain of salt, just in light of all of these allegations this year that appeared against Wolf. All of these sexual abuse and violent and drug abuse and animal abuse allegations that came up against Wolf back in March.
So one thing that I have always had an issue with has been being able to separate people and their personality from their music. Mm-hmm. And I guess this can go all the way back to the Chris Brown Rihanna shit. Like, I've always been a super huge fan of Chris Brown, and I don't know, somehow I was able to separate like his music from what he did. And now, to be honest, I never really listened to Xavier like that. Like,
really?
I have not really listened to him that much. I've heard a couple of his songs, but I haven't like listened to him.
I'm just surprised to hear that, given all the rap clicks you're associated with.
Yeah, but I have I have an ear for like different shit, and everything's different, you know. Some things I'll hear and I'm like, all right, you know what? I like that shit. I want to hear more of it. And I didn't get that from him. Like I didn't hear something from him and I'm like, oh, you know what? Yeah.
Shout out to my man Bankhead of Straight Out the Trunk Radio who just joined the chat. But when it comes to Wolf, you know what? I am a diehard supporter. There are Hollow Squad license plates on my car. You know, I bought clothing straight out of his hand. We've been around each other multiple times, and Wolf's always been cool to me. But there's a couple lines in particular that I just have questions on. On Rich for Life, when Wolf said a line about gorilla pimping, and for those of you who don't know, that implies abusing somebody. Um, you know, it's almost like he's telling on himself. And I have questions about this because I understand that, you know, coming from Memphis, pimping is part of the culture. You know, making easy money, pimping hoes and style. You know, we've seen hustle and flow. We understand that this is, you know, part of the ecosystem that makes the streets in Memphis what they are. Just like the streets in the Bay Area or, you know, places like Chicago. It's just part of their culture. But at the same time, though, it's like hearing that coming from Wolf. It's like, dog, are you? This is not the same anime character I heard on Project X in 2016. You know, this is this is why I liked him, because he made being an anime nerd cool. You know, he represented car culture, he represented anime, and he was like his whole own wave of a character. I think, you know, under the influence of Juicy J. It's funny, Juicy J has a project called Under the Influence. But when he's with Juicy, you want to change into a pimp now just because you around, you know, a real Memphis legend. I don't understand that from a writing process. Like, why are
Okay.
you breaking character to be with you, Juicy?
So I see what you're saying. So like you knew him prior to the, you know, gorilla pimping phase or whatever you want to call it. So you knew him prior, which was the gamer, nerdy type person, and now you've seen a transformation. That's why it's hard for you to grasp. Like, okay, so now you went from this to this because now you put out music with this person, and now you want to put on this persona because
Yeah.
it.
And then I have questions about that because when you say gorilla pimp, that implies that's almost bragging about being an abuser. To me, it sounds like. And then you have actual allegations against you, and that ain't pimping, man. That is not a good representation of the culture, good representation of the game. You know, to brag about abusing someone and then actually have allegations against you, like I I almost wanted to stop listening, but I'm like, no, I hear it out. And you know, my love for Wolf, for Sashala Waterboys, and you know, my appreciation for Memphis hip hop kept me in this. But at this point, I'm like, you know, one of our rapper friends, who I'm not going to mention right now, but one of our friends said to me, was like, I know what this sounds like. You say Juicy J and Wolf. You don't have to listen to this project to know what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean the cover art was dope. I like the concept
Yeah.
of it.
Let me take another look
The
at this cover art.
cover art.
Oh
Um,
yeah, there's the
so I thought that was, you know, that was clever. You know what I'm saying? Um, the intros to the songs were pretty dope.
right.
Um, and then I feel like they kind of made their last song called Disappointment for a reason. And I feel like, I mean, shit, we can refer back to the Eminem album. His last track, he made sure that he apologized to his kids and things like that for for everything that he's done prior. Save the best for last, and I feel like on this album they did too. You know, obviously Zave knows all the allegations. He knows people are talking, and at this point, he's like, you know what? What can I do? I'm gonna put this album out, and then my last track, I'm gonna name it Disappointment, and that's just how I feel about myself or in general. You know, who knows what he's thinking? But I feel like placement is everything because as an artist, I I think about where I'm gonna place things on the album or an EP. I'm like, all right, what fits where? What's perfect? What's gonna end perfectly, beautifully? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but I still want to know who they were talking about because all this loyalty and they were talking about fake ass people and stuff like that. So it's like I want to know who
Yeah.
y'all talking
Are they
about.
go? Yeah, are they going at? Is Wolf talking about Chris Travis, or or is Juicy talking about DJ Paul? And this is all speculation. It's just I think that as far as delivering that raw sound and two generations of Memphis, I think that was the goal, and I think the goal was
Yeah,
met. The question
yeah,
is like, how are they going to go about promoting this album? Because I really haven't seen like, a tour or a poster or
yeah. Me,
been interrupted while scroll by, seen a story at for this. This is just like,
yeah.
boom, it's here.
Shout out to Versus A though. He a dope ass. He sing, rap, everything. He dope as hell. Y'all go
Oh,
follow him too.
the verses A. But then there were some dope tracks on here, of course. Look How Far, Symptoms, No Man with Project
Yeah.
Pat.
Oh man, that was. I'm not gonna lie. That one was my favorite one. And Don't Let Him See. I fucked with that one too.
I would have liked to see one feature, maybe from Wolf's camp, like Eddie Baker on here, or a IDK Jeffrey or TA Double Dollar, somebody who he runs with too. Just so the new school is kind of represented.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, but other than that, this was both of our first time listening to it today, so I think we got to chew on it a little longer just to like know what the flavor really is.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'll have to I don't know, possibly listen to it again. But I'm a little weird, man. If I listen to something and it doesn't catch my attention, sometimes I won't give it that second chance. And I know I need to stop doing that because later on I might find out like, okay, this is fire. But most of the time, that's how I am about beats. Like when I'm selecting beats and people are sending me beats to my email, I listen to it one time, and if I'm not feeling it, like I'm not feeling it. Like I need something to.
I don't think that's weird. I think that's more like you're protective of your time. And a lot of women today are not into giving second chances. You know.
Yeah. So I feel like we did pretty good with the politics part today. I don't know how y'all feel about it.
I think so.
Um, for somebody who's never voted in their life, I feel like I did pretty well. I think I'm going to start paying attention more to, what's going on around me, who's in charge of all the changes that may affect me or my family or the people around me and things like that. So
Well,
I'm
part
pretty.
of being a good steward, if you're going to take podcasting seriously, is being up to date on all current events, up to date on pop culture, up to date on music, up to date on politics, up to date on sports. But knowing your lane and then just knowing that you can sit down with anybody and have those conversations.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm already a people's person. Like I get along with everybody and I can have those conversations. But the only two things I always stop at is politics and religion when it comes to people, just because like I don't know, I'm me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I'm different
Well,
and
well, I think that's because politics and religion and sometimes race are like these third wheels of conversation that, like, we're afraid with new people that, oh, if I say this, I'm going to be judged. Um, and I've worked with people who come from the other side who are, I worked for a conservative talk radio station for over a year, working side by side with Trump supporters, getting to know them, knowing their families, knowing what they're all about, you know and it's about learning from the other side too. And I think a lot of, in today's cancel culture world, which I don't think being canceled is real. But in today's world, shout out to Shorty's World who just joined the chat. That's funny. But you know, there's a lot more pointing fingers than shaking hands. There's a lot more, well, we could have a if we have a disagreement, then it's F you, you're an op, versus
Right.
well, talk that out. Talk that out. I think it's in a world where people act on emotion. It's
And what's crazy is like this year, that's something that I've been working on so much is not taking everything
right.
personal, like a very personal person. Well, you know that. You know me. So I'm a very personal person, and I always have this problem of holding other people to like a certain standard. You know what I'm saying? And it's like sometimes you can't do that because obviously that person is them and you're you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you gotta fucking you gotta go with the flow and you gotta do what's best for you and just be yourself, and shout out to
Uh oh. We'll take a sec just to chill. Killer Queen's gonna probably come back. All right, and she's back. Hopefully, give it one more second here. There she is.
my bad, y'all. I went to like literally tap my screen and it
Oh,
fucking slid over
oh,
to somebody's live.
yeah,
That's
that happens.
great.
You
But
touch the
yeah,
screen, then you log off by accident.
no. But yeah, so I think that just being yourself is the best option. And I think that's one thing that I do like about you, Paul. Not that there's things that I don't like about you, but
How dare I have character
like I
flaws? Just
feel
like
like
everything about me.
I feel like you can be put in any room, you know what I'm saying, with any different type of person and you'll be able to thrive. And my nana always says, like, if you're in a room and you're the smartest person in the room, you don't need to be in that room. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to be around like-minded individuals, people who are prospering even more than you are in life, because it's like we all want the sauce. You know what I'm saying? We all want to figure out what it is that we can do that's better and, be put on game. So
Right.
I'm doing a lot better with that, though. I'm working on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Thank you, and thank you for recognizing that because I do pride myself on being that key that can open any door. Um, yeah, I could. I like I said, worked in conservative talk radio. You see from the music I put on this page. There's a lot of lanes that I occupy. So, no, it's cool. I'm just trying to see how I can bring it together because I want like this whole universe to be like its own cult following. So it's like where if you know, like who I'm down with, who's part of this Palm TPP beatbox Killa Convos
Yeah.
ecosystem.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mike Serpentine in the house.
I was trying before I got kicked off. I was trying to say shout out to Juan because Juan is on here. I don't know what happened, but I was trying to say
Yeah, if
shout
the
out to
homies, if Juan and Mike are still on here, let's see if these boys want to go live real
right.
quick.
Y'all want to hop on live
Yeah,
real quick?
yeah, let's hop on. Juan declined. Let's see if we can get Mike Serpentine. Definitely a palm. That's definitely a palm tree. Been on his platform. He's been on mine. Let's see. Can't get Mike either. All right. So what else do you have planned this week, Jess?
Um, to be honest, I don't have nothing really. I created my lesson plans for my classroom. I'm focused on that. Focusing on doing my lesson plans. I'm probably gonna be DJing, chilling, trying to relax,
There
and
you go. Taking it one
you know,
step at a
you
time. Yeah, we got another Killer Combos this Thursday with old school new. Then Me, I got a lot of music to review on Groover. Got a review coming for the homie Joe Fresco out of San Jose, which is super dope. Everybody check out his new album, Make America Player Again, Part 2. Excellent West Coast hip hop at its finest.
We got DJ Zerk, two
DJ Zerk's coming on.
old heads in the underschool. Y'all know he is an OG, man. He's a big OG out of Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all remember back then, but there was a beef between DJ Zerk and DJ Squeaky. So this is one of the interviews that I'm really, really excited about, just because I'm a big fan. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of where my roots grew from, was DJ Zerk and DJ Squeaky and these old heads out of Memphis. So that's something I'm really excited about as well.
Were you finding this old, like, kind of funk tape music from the internet or from the radio?
So to be honest, I had a whole bunch of old hard drives that had a lot of OG slash funk on it. I was around Doom Shop for a minute, so a lot of their shit is that OG Memphis shit. A lot of the way they make their beats and the way they just carry themselves and shit is really, it's crazy, because a lot of them they're from everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're literally everywhere. But they just came together and created this sound. But yeah, so I have found a lot of it from old hard drives, deep YouTube, deep SoundCloud. Like, I like to dig, so I find a lot of old school shit, and I don't know, I fall in love with it, and then I just run with it, you know.
There you go. Okay, cool. Anything else you want to let them know on this episode of Killa Convos, Killa
Yeah.
Queen?
Yes. Y'all be on the lookout for some pictures of food from both of us. I'm not really good at making videos while I'm cooking. That's something I'm gonna work on. But I do be throwing down. So look out for them pictures. Look out for those pictures from Palm 2. And get ready for these guests we have coming. If y'all know anybody that we just named, feel free to comment some questions, some things that you guys may want to know, and we can hit them with the question. You know, because we all about grilling and chilling. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
All right. All right. All summer long is Killa Convos, baby. All right. Peace, love, Palm.